Hi, it's Adam with WebStarts.com. In this short video, I'm going to show you how to create a website from scratch using WebStarts. Let's begin by going to WebStarts.com. So I've got a browser window open here, and I'm just going to type WebStarts.com into the input field. That takes me to the WebStarts homepage, and on the homepage, to get started, you're going to want to click sign up. It's free. It's completely free to sign up and create a website using WebStarts, and you can create multiple websites within a single account. For this demonstration, I'm going to be building a website from scratch. So I hover over the template that is the use this template to start from scratch. I click start, and then I'm going to enter both my name along with my email address, and then I'm going to choose a password that I'm going to use to log into this account. So you can choose whatever password you'd like, and then click the sign up button to proceed. If you've already created a WebStarts account and you're coming back, there was a login link in the top left. The first time you log into WebStarts, you're going to see this pop up. It has a short video that'll walk you through what you need to know to get started building a website with WebStarts. If you have a single site in your account, you'll start from this dashboard view. This is a overview of everything that has to do with this specific website. If you want to create multiple websites in your account, you can do that by clicking the My Sites drop down and then click Create a New Site and go through that process. I'm going to hover over this thumbnail and click Edit Site because I'm just showing you how to create a website from scratch. Once I load the page editor, that's where I can visually begin creating and editing my pages. You're going to see this quick tour pop-up come up. You can go through that tour. It'll walk you through the things you need to know to be able to use the editor to create pages for your website. I'm just closing out of it. Of course, I'm plenty familiar with it, but you may not be. And in that case, you may want to go through the tour. All right. A couple of things to know when you get started in WebStarts. The top section of every one of your web pages is called the header. Anything that you drag into the header is going to remain in the same place on each page of your website, so as long as you choose to display the header. This is done so you can put your logo and your business name and your navigation menu into the header, and when your site visitors come to your website, they'll be able to have continuity when moving from page to page because your logo, your business name, and your menu will all be in the same place at the top of the page on each page. Now the same thing happens with the footer. So if you drag elements into your footer, those are going to appear in the same place on each page of your website as well. In the Start From Scratch template, I have the business name called Start From Scratch up here in the top left. I've got a basic menu already started, and then I have a social bar in the footer. So those things are in the header and footer, and I only have one page to my website. So when I click on this drop down here, you see there's one page, and then there's an option to create a new page. So when you go to create another page, which we'll do later in the video, that's where you're going to click. The middle section of your page is called the body. That's a place that we're going to focus in a minute, and I'm going to show you how to quickly and easily add content to the body and create this website from scratch. Let's get started working on this header. We're going to start from the top left and work to the right and then work down the page. I'm going to call this business Architectural Designs. It's just a name that I'm making up, and I'm going to drag out the name of my business a little bit, and I'm going to add my first element and I'm going to add it to my header, and it's going to be a graphic. So I select add from the sidebar, graphic, and then I do a graphic search. I'm going to use a keyword. I'm going to use the keyword design. You can use any keyword you want. I do complete the search by pressing the enter key on the keyboard, and then I can double click, and it's going to add that graphic to the body of my web page. Notice I can drag that graphic around. I can use the handles to resize that graphic, and ultimately I'm going to drag that right into that header. I'm going to get this little pop-up that says elements added to the header appear on all pages. I've already made that clear. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to butt the name of my company so that I have a nice little visual representation of my company along with the name of my company. Now I've got this navigation menu down here, and I'm going to wait till I create some more pages on my website to customize the appearance of that. I'm going to take this same graphic and I'm going to duplicate it. So I'm going to select it and I'm going to select the duplicate icon, and then I'm going to drag it down. I'm going to click that add to footer, and I'm going to put it in my footer because I want my business name to be both at the top and bottom of the page. So I'm going to do that again with the name, and I'm going to again click add to footer. So when you drag an element against the footer, in order to stop it from infinitely expanding the body of the page, you need to click that button that says add to footer, so it'll kind of jump this guideline right here and be added to the footer. All right, so now we have kind of a basic structure to our page, and I don't want to lose this work so far, so I'm going to click save. And it's going to save and publish those changes. It's kind of nice because I've got a starting point. Now I'm going to show you how you're really going to be able to quickly and easily add some sections to your page. Click add, go down here to designs, and these are going to be some pre-designed sections that you can add to your page. The top section of your page is called a hero. A lot of websites have what's called a hero image, and this is a place where you're going to add a large image that's maybe descriptive of your website, and it's going to have a headline on it that tells the world what you do here at your company. And so I've just selected this one called Galaxy Night. It's just a pre-built section. You can edit, customize everything about this section. You can tear it apart, you can delete it, you can do whatever you want. I want it to have to do with this architectural theme, so I'm going to make some changes to it. The first one I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the background image. I can do that when it's selected by clicking edit, and then I can search for an image that's appropriate. So here I have an architecture category in my image library, and I can just double click on one of those images out of the image library, and I can replace that image that I had of the galaxy. I can also replace things like this button and this text. One of the things I noticed right away is I'm using white text on this background. It's a little bit difficult to see my text with this image in the background. So with that background section selected, I'm going to click the appearance or style icon, and I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom, and I'm going to reduce the opacity to about 50%, and then I'm going to change the background color to black. So you can see that added a little bit of contrast so I can see what's going on there. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this button, and then I'm going to click on the style for that, and I'm going to change the style of this button to be this basic style. And I'm just doing that because it's a style that I'm going to use throughout my website to have some continuity to the buttons. Next, I'm going to select the text, the headline, and I'm just going to edit it. And I'm going to call this, I'm going to say, we design well-engineered buildings. I mean, this could say whatever you want, and you know, and then you could have a tagline, you know, we do things, we do things the right way. So excuse my typing or lack of typing. Now, if you find that this text needs more room, you can expand the text box like so, and then you can also use this alignment tool to select any element, including this text box, and then you can perfectly center align it. So if I want to perfectly center align that text and that button, I can do that. So now we have this hero image, we've got this menu, we've got this nice header and footer, we're on our way. I mean, we have a website going here, a web page. And notice when I have this section selected, there's a blue plus button at the bottom of it. When I click on that, it's going to open back to that Manage Designs section, and then I'll be able to go through these tabs and select another section that I'd like to add. In the next section, I'm going to add just a pre-designed features section, and I'm going to look for one that's somewhat easy to customize. So we've got some here. We've got like features and benefits. I'm just going to add this one. So I'm selecting it and I'm clicking insert. So then you can see that's added below the next section. And then this says benefits right here. I could call it features and benefits. I could call it whatever I want. I can edit every bit of information contained in this section. I can change the color. So this is kind of a light gray. Maybe I want to make it, you know, like a gradient like this. And if you do that, you might want to change all the colors of the other elements to something lighter, so there's some contrast. So for example, you might want to change the icon there to white. I am not going to get into all that right now. I kind of like it just the way that it is, and I think it does a good job of showing how you can just edit these things. Now these icons here can be edited as well. You just select it and then you open up this icon library, and then you can choose an icon that you feel like represents whatever it is that you're trying to convey in these little information sections. Now, just like with the last section, I can select this one and then I can click the blue plus, and then I can go right down and I can select another type of section, or I can go right back to the other types of sections and select one again. So for example, under features, I saw a minute ago that there's a frequently asked question. I think that's highly relevant for a lot of websites. So I'm just going to add that to the bottom of my page. One thing I want to call your attention to is when you add a section, you might find that some of these font styles are pre-configured to something that doesn't look quite the way you want. So you might find yourself, you know, applying different fonts and applying these defaults to things. And by the way, if you ever want to change the default settings for your website, you can do that under Design Site Styles, and then you set up these tags and the color scheme to whatever you think is appropriate. So like, say I want to use that blue color scheme, I can click continue, and then when I open up a color palette like this, then my default color palette is, you know, from that color scheme. So you can play with those settings if they help you become more efficient creating a website. So look at, I've got here 3 sections and they look pretty good, and I can continue to do this, and I can go right down the page and add as many or as few sections I want. And I even have a couple footers in here, so if you like one of these footers, you might want to add that to the page. Like this one has what's called a link list here on the left, and then it's got kind of a company name and logo in the middle, and then a form submission over here on the right. It's pretty normal to have a home page, an about page, and a contact page on your website, and then other pages as well. And in my experience, most websites are either trying to sell a product, a service, or convey information, or a combination of those things. And the way that breaks down is usually that you have a home page that's an introduction to what you do and what the person's looking for, and then an about page that explains how you got started and who's behind it, and then a contact page, which is a place where you can contact a business or an organization or an entity. So that would have like a map to your place, your email address, phone number, contact form, and then you would have maybe a features page or a products page or something else that shares pertinent information about what you do, what you're trying to convey through your website. So now we've got a pretty good website going. And what I'm going to do is so now I'm going to duplicate these pages and create some of those about, contact, and maybe like a product, service, or portfolio page. And I can do that by going up here. I can do that by clicking File, or by clicking the drop down and click Edit, Add New Page. I'm going to save my existing page because I don't want to lose my changes there. Now I can start with another blank page, or I can copy one of the pages I already created. In this case, the only option would be my home page. Or I can create a page from a template. Well, I haven't saved any of my pages as a template yet, but that's definitely something you can do in your workflow to save time. Is if you create a page layout you like, save it as a template, and then you can start from that each time. I'm going to select the blank page option to show you what that looks like. After all, this video is about creating your website from scratch. I'm going to click Create Page, then I'm going to enter the name of the page that I'm creating. And for this example, I'm creating an About page. So I type in the word About and I click OK. That has created my About page, and it's navigated the page editor to this blank About page. Notice the blank page still has the header and footer attached to it. And also notice as soon as I created a new page, the new page was added to the navigation menu. If I were to delete this page by going File, Delete, and then confirming that I want to delete it, it would remove that page from my navigation menu. So for the most part, when you create a page, it's added to the navigation menu. When you delete it, it's removed. But there might be some circumstances where you want a web page on your website, but you don't want it to be displayed on the navigation menu. And there might be a situation where you want to reorder the pages that are displayed on your navigation menu. And there might be a situation where you just want to have a page or tab name on your menu, but not necessarily have a corresponding page. In all of those scenarios, what you're going to do is you're going to click on the Pages option on the left sidebar, and you're going to do one of a few things. Okay, so here you can use the handles to reorder your pages on the menu. You can change a different page to be your home page, and you can also hide a specific page from the menu. And you can, up here, you can add a link to your menu, or you can add a sub-menu title. That would just be a title in your menu that when you click the drop down will open up, and you can then go to the page rather than click on the page directly from the website navigation menu. And I'm not going to display that here. These are kind of less common use cases. But here on the About page, you can do the same thing. Click Add, go to Designs, go down here, find maybe an About Us section, and then you can select one of those. So if I want, maybe I can click on this one. It's got this photo of the wedding. I can change that, of course. Just gonna type in, team, and here once again, the font doesn't look like it's styled exactly the way that I want, so I'm just going to update that quickly. And I'm also going to remove these rounded corners from the image because I'm not using rounded corners on my site, but you might like it for yours. And then you can add another section, just like what we talked about if you want, or you can just drag it up and leave it like that. Now, I'm going to save the changes to my site. So now I've got 2 pages to my site. By the way, if you don't like the way this menu appears, you can change the menu style. You just select a different one from the drop downs. Like this is kind of a nice modern style here. You might need to rearrange, recenter some of the elements if you choose one of these. I'm going to use this kind of modern style. I'm going to apply a color to it. And then when you're ready, what you're going to want to do is, and you can see here, I'm just recentering this stuff. And you can use this alignment tool as well to get it perfect. Sometimes it looks perfect, like I thought I was in the right spot, but clearly I wasn't. So I use the alignment tool to get it perfect. I should probably do that down here too. Yeah, these are off a little bit. So regardless, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to click on this mobile editor, and it's going to generate a mobile version of my site. Now, this did a pretty good job of taking the content that was on my desktop and then formatting it for a mobile version. It doesn't always do a great job, especially when there's a lot of different elements. One of the ways that WebStarts works is it considers the fact that on the smaller screen, you might not want to display everything that's on the bigger screen if you're going to be serving a mobile version to people visiting on a phone. So it gives you the option to hide certain elements that maybe aren't absolutely necessary. Those hidden elements appear over here on the left. And in this case, I can see that like my logos are not being displayed, so I'm going to unhide those, and my business name. And you can see they kind of drop into a place where they don't look good. So I'm going to select my header, and I'm going to find this reorder icon, and I'm going to click it. And what that does is it uses AI to try to create a layout that does look good, and that worked pretty well. So I'm going to do that for the header, and then I'm going to do that for the footer. And you can do that for the body too, but you can see in the header, I don't really like that. I'm going to select this text, and then I'm going to actually make a couple of changes on my own. But you know, that's just kind of how it works, is you can tweak everything to make it look exactly the way you want. The reason why it works this way is that you can literally drag and position everything absolutely anywhere on the page. And so the editor doesn't always have a reference point. So it kind of doesn't really have the ability to read your mind, but we try to program it to read your mind, if that makes any kind of sense at all. We do our best to anticipate, I guess you could say, what a person would think would look good. So anyway, sometimes you get so many elements that you've added. And by the way, you can only add elements in your desktop. You can only edit them or move them around in the mobile editor. Sometimes you get so many elements, you just go down here to this reorder layout, and it will reorder the entire layout from top to bottom. And I'm not going to demonstrate that here, but even when it does that again, there may be some tweak involved. That's just part of it, but it works. When you're ready to display this mobile version, you have to enable it, because otherwise it's just going to display the desktop version when somebody visits from their mobile phone, which is totally fine if that works better for you. I mean, it makes things much simpler to have one version of your website than to have a desktop version and a mobile version like what we have given you the option to do. It's just that we understand that a lot of people are visiting your websites on mobile, and the pertinent information can be better displayed if the font sizes are bigger and the buttons are more touchable. So to enable the mobile version, just toggle this to display mobile version and then click save. And then what I'll show you is when you go to view your site, I'm going to drag this window out, and you narrow it down to like the size of a mobile version, you'll see there's what the mobile version of your website looks like, you know, in real life, so to speak. Now, a couple problems that I noticed right out of the gate is that when we made that change and we reordered the header, it looks like maybe it doesn't look good on our homepage. So yeah, so for whatever reason, this hero image ended up here. So I'm going to go back to the homepage, and then I'm just going to tweak the design here. And if you remember, we added these sections. And so I'm just going to try to arrange these sections so they look really good on mobile. One thing I recommend is, and this is what I do, is even though you're previewing this in mobile on your desktop, I always like to actually get my phone out of my pocket and visit this website I created on my actual phone. So, you know, I do a little check here. So I go view on my desktop, and again, I'm just breaking out this tab so that we can take a look. Now it looks pretty good. I'm happy with that, but then I would go ahead and look at it on my mobile phone too, because one thing I like to do is keep my button so that people don't have to scroll to see the call to action on my phone. And it's a little bit different from phone to phone. So if you have like maybe a Galaxy or an Android device, the button may be a little cut off in certain views, whereas it's completely displayed front and center on an iPhone. And so you have to find kind of the margin of error there so that your button is always displayed without scrolling, which is what I prefer. So I kind of bring it closer. I'd like to edge it closer to the top when, you know, just kind of estimating where that's going to appear. And I like to make my buttons nice and big and easy to tap, because when I'm on a phone and the button isn't big enough to tap, it's just kind of annoying. But anyway, again, just constantly saving my changes, because that's something that you can do to prevent from losing your work. Another thing I noticed is that when I went to view the menu, and I'll show you this, when I clicked on this menu style, I just get this blank page because the colors are set wrong. You may find that if you're not paying attention to the colors that the text is using on the menu. You fix that by going to the desktop, selecting the menu, selecting the style, and then paying attention to these colors. So where these lines are black, okay, but the background is got nothing applied to it. That background full screen takeover is black, but then the text color is black, so that doesn't work. So I'm going to do like light gray, and then text on hover, I'm going to do like a little bit darker gray, and then selected text, I do an even darker gray. So let me show you what that looks like after saving my changes. So now when I click on that menu, you can see, oh, there's the text. When I hover, it's like light gray or whatever. And then if you have a state where it's displayed the selected page, for example, the selected page is now the about page, that's a little bit darker gray. So pay attention to those colors. And, you know, that's pretty much how to build your website from scratch. Now, there are a lot of other things you can do in WebStarts. You can add forms, you can add all kinds of other pages, you can connect a store and a blog to this, and I recommend you do all of those things. But in this video, we just showed you how to create a website with WebStarts, starting from absolutely scratch. And hopefully it gave you a good idea of how easy that is and how dynamic it is, and that you really can do a ton of stuff and you can do it really quick. And if you get proficient at creating these websites, a lot of the people who use WebStarts go on to build websites for other people. And we always think that that is a great compliment to what we're trying to do here. So thanks again for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to these videos. That way you'll be the first to find out when we release a new video. A lot of times those are on new features or like really helpful tips or something that's really valuable to help get your website discovered or your business discovered. So be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.